And we have been seeing a lot of reports of inmates escaping lately. Our guest Josh School told us they are rare, but it does happen. And is it happening more than we realize? Joining us now, Bryce Peterson, research scientist in CNA's Center for Justice Innovation. Bryce, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So what is the frequency of events like this? Are they trending up?
Yeah, it's really hard to say. I'll preface this by saying we don't have any good national data on how often escapes from custody occur, and that's because we have, 50 different state correctional facilities, state prison systems. We have nearly 3,000 different jail systems, and none of those report escapes the same way or report them consistently. So there's no central repository of data on how often escapes occur. That being said, from the research that we've done, we've identified at least a few hundred escapes per year, and it's likely much more than that. If we had to estimate, I would say it's closer to 1,000 or somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 escapes that occur every year. In terms of whether they're trending up, it's very hard to say. It's unlikely that they're trending up. The last research that was collected on a consistent basis showed that escapes were trending down, but that was over several decades ago. So we don't have any recent data to compare that to.
Got it. So there are some concerns with Cavalcante harming the family of his victim, or that he could hurt a resident as well. So we had this conversation before, Josh mentioning that it would be foolish for him to go back to the family that he was accused of killing the mother of. But from your research, have there been instances of this when a prisoner escapes?
Yeah, as Josh said, it's extremely rare for that to happen. When people have escaped from custody, they are primarily worried about staying out of prison or staying out of custody, avoiding recapture. They're worrying about things like finding food, shelter, clothing, water. That takes up almost all of their time. It's rare for them to go back to a particular victim and target that person. As I think, as your prior guest said too, I would be more worried about violence happening against a random community member, as this individual is looking for food, shelter, needs a place to stay. We've already seen that he's interacted, potentially broken into homes. So that would be more of a concern on my end. It would be unlikely, and I think foolish on his end, to go back and target a particular individual, especially if those family members are under police care and surveillance.
All right. Well, thank you for hammering that home. So you found in your research that most inmates do get captured. We've seen some endings get violent, like with Casey White in Alabama last year. What percentage of these end in violence?
So from the research we've done, looking at how often violence occurs during escape, the most likely time at which violence is to occur is when they're breaking out of custody, not when they're being recaptured. During recapture period in the research we've done, it's less than 6% of escapes have any sort of violence during recapture, and that includes very minor violence like pushing, minor assault or battery. It's even more rare when you're talking about serious types of violent outcomes like someone getting killed or shot or maimed in a serious way.
All right, that's good news. So based on your findings, what do you think needs to be done to prevent more of these prisoner escapes?
Yeah, so typically what happens in these instances is after an escape occurs, the agency will do an after action report or something similar to that, where they will spend time investigating where the security lapse occurred, what allowed the escape to happen, whether it was a physical structure issue. In this case, we saw someone, spider walking up a wall and hopping over off the roof. So addressing those physical security issues. There could also be, I don't know about this particular case, but in general, there could be personnel issues. Maybe someone wasn't on duty when they were supposed to be or wasn't observing what they were supposed to be observing. So that there will be a very thorough investigation and then a series of security recommendations that come out of it to prevent this from happening again in the future.
So, Bryce, how common is it that prisoners are not found and they're not brought back behind bars?
It's very rare. So in the research we've done, the research that's been done in the past, it's well over 90%, probably close to 95% of all people who escape from custody are recaptured. But that number is even higher for people who are convicted of serious crimes, where there's more of an effort to find them. So in this case, obviously, this is a very dangerous individual convicted of a very serious crime. And there's a lot of people out there looking for him. There's a lot of media attention. There's the public notification that's happening. I would be surprised if this individual is not caught at some point. It's hard to say when. But in these cases, for someone like this, it is very rare for them to not be caught.
All right, Bryce Peterson, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.